In this video, we'll see an example of how to use fprintf when you have more than one hole in your string that needs to be filled. I will call this, let's make a new section, and I'll call it fprintf with multiple variables. So far we've done it where we supply the variable in a single scalar variable, and I want to do something a little more complicated. So let's take feet, and we'll have feet go from 1 to 3, and inches equal feet times 12. So we're converting feet into inches. And I use that dot star because I have a matrix, not just, although it would work in this case. It's a good habit to get into, to use dot star because it doesn't hurt. And now let's create a table. I'll call my table. This isn't an official table using the table command. This is just an array that has the info that I want. And it will be feet, semicolon, inches. So what that does, remember, is it puts the feet across the top and the inches across the bottom. So let's just run this real quick and see what we're looking at. We've got feet, we've got inches. That's my table. Now let's suppress that. The data is stored in rows, feet across one row, column across the other row. So let's look at what happens when I use fprintf to say how many feet equals how many inches. Let's just use I for integer for now, and we'll look at other ways of displaying this later on. So I feet equals %I inches. So what I'm hoping it will do, if I write this, is to take this and say that equals that many inches. Then this equals that many inches, and then this equals that many inches. So I do want to include a new line so that it prints each of those statements on a separate line and not in one big mush. So let's see what happens. Now, notice I still need to close the string, add a comma, and then tell MATLAB where all my values are stored. I have them in a single matrix called my table. So let's see if this works. If MATLAB reads down each table, each column, then it will read this one first, and then this one, and then go to the next one, and the next one, the next one, the next one. So it's going to fill in 2 at a time. It's going to use up 2 at a time because I have 2 blanks every time a sentence gets printed. So let's try it. I've got fprintf, and I think I am, I still need to close that and suppress the output. Okay, run section. 1 feet equals 12 inches. Okay, I see a flaw, but that's all right. It's doing what I thought it would do and pulling values out of this table one at a time. So, and it, just like always, MATLAB works in columns. So because my data was arranged in columns, that's the order it's using to pull the values from. It pulls the first one and the second one for the first sentence. It pulls the next 2 for the second sentence. It's just going down the list, all the way down the columns. So you want to make sure that it's matched up. In this case, I'm using 2 at a time. I have 2 rows, so it works out. If we had done instead, let's just say that works. That works because it's going down each column and using values in order. If we had done instead, I'm going to comment that out and I'll recomment it in a minute. If we had instead said fprintf, let's do the same thing, but we'll supply equals %I inches n. If I close the string, add a comma, if I said feet, comma, inches, as 2 separate variables. Let's see what it does. So I'm going to CLC this, and we can clear it also. And now run the section. Look at what I'm getting. It's still using all the values in order. In this case, it's using all the values from feet first. So we got 1, 2, 3. At this point, MATLAB needs another value for this other hole, and it's out of them in this first variable. So it goes to the next variable, inches, and says, okay, 12, 24, 36. So there may be times when you want this behavior where you're getting all the values from the first variable and then all the values from the second variable. But there's probably times when you want the original way we had it, where we had all of it arranged in a table where the data was in rows and it read down each column, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So I'm going to comment this one out and say this doesn't work like I want. This doesn't do what I want in this case. It uses all values from feet first. So if you only have one of each, that might be fine. For example, if I had, let's just do this real quick. If I had feet equals 13 and inches equals feet times 12, so I'm using a scalar here, and then I say fprintf I feet equals I inches. Close the string and then say feet inches. This one will work fine, I hope. Run section. I forgot the new line. But yeah, that time, because there's only one value in each, it's fine to do it this way. So you've seen two different ways of using multiple feeders for this fprintf function. You can arrange them all into a table just right, then it'll work perfectly. Or if they're single values, it might work just fine to go like this, where we have one after the other. But if you have two holes, two blanks in your sentence, you've got to have two things to put there, or else MATLAB's going to give you an error. Let me show you that real quick. Run section. Oh, it doesn't give you an error, it just gives you nothing. Ugh, that's almost worse. One more time. 13 feet equals, and it's just, it didn't print the rest of the sentence because it stopped. It ran out of values and just gave up. But at least it didn't give us an error message. That's nice. All right, more with input and output in our next video.